Hi, it's Christine with Moonshine Safari and
Anthony with Moonshine Safari.
woo!
Yeehaw.
We are up to episode 5 for Outlander the books, and then the Stars episode 5 basically is going to correspond to chapter 11. It's kind of a single one this time. As a reminder, we do have spoilers, so if you don't like to be spoiled, you shouldn't listen, but we're talking a show that's in its 8th season now, so I'm pretty sure everybody should be catching up.
I don't know. We just now started, so.
Well, yeah, but I watched it several times through.
Anyway.
That's okay. Anyway, starts with Claire and the gang, Dougal's men on the road. And the men are being rowdy. It's fun flavor. Not really in the book, but they're just being rowdy and being silly. And Claire actually helps Ned Gowan, the little scribe solicitor, with his cough. He has some asthma. Again, shows her healing. Not really book related. Dang. So she does have a similar conversation with Ned about how he got to work. They don't really address the way that Colm got to be layered and the whole alliance with Colm and Dougal. That's kind of a difference from the book, but she does have good conversation with him and she's enjoying his company. In the show, she's a little butthurt when the men are speaking Gaelic because she feels like they're excluding her on purpose. I don't feel like you see that as much in the book. She doesn't take it to heart that way. The woman served theoretically in the army, in the British Army in World War II. I have a hard time thinking that she's going to take.
Right. They're making it like an antagonistic kind of thing between the guys and her this time.
Yeah.
They're always going back
and she's a little oversensitive in my opinion in the shows, but because again she's English, they don't know her, they don't trust her, and they think she's probably a spy. Why would they want to include her in any of this stuff? So anyway, that's what I found interesting. She does ask Jamie at some point if he thinks she's a spy, and he says no, but he knows she has some secrets. He doesn't know what they are, but he doesn't think she's a spy either.
It's kind of what Colin says too.
Exactly. They come to a village, and she's kind of watching the interaction as they collect the rents. Dougal seems to get along with the renters. They get all kinds of things for the rent. Ned said no pigs, but they got pigs. He's not real happy about it. They got goats at one point, and one of them apparently ate one of his handkerchiefs, but he says, in the books anyway, he kind of says it's his fault, kind of left it out. It's his fault, but for some reason this time he didn't want the pigs, but they get what they get, and they pretty much got to take whatever people have to offer because it's not like people are just rolling around in cash, and it's not the kind of bank that we have now. It's different. So it's not in the book, but Claire kind of wanders off and finds some women. It's called Walking Wool. It's kind of interesting. I actually found this part in the show very interesting. The women use urine, which is lovely, to set the dye in the wool, and they sing songs and stuff. It's kind of fun. I actually like this part of the show.
It looks like a grand time. Slopping in piss all over the place to set the dyes into the fabric, and they're sitting at a table and it's sloshing and splashing, and don't tell me you're not getting in your face, and they're just all singing and laughing. No, you're not having. But on the other hand, it was back in the day, so everything
in the
else
1700s.
like so I guess it's a change for the day. It's like, let's not smell like poop today.
We'll smell like
we'll
pee.
Smell like pee.
Well, I think everything always smelled.
But let's go play in it.
I think it's kind of a fun part of the show, actually. I kind of enjoy that.
I know this is because we're far removed from that kind of lifestyle, and it seems absurd
so foreign,
to us,
right? Yeah,
but that's how things got done back then.
I mean, yeah, people had to wear clothes, and they didn't just go to the Walmart and buy one.
Saying everybody could just be wearing the same old drab colors, but thanks be to urine,
they were able to set the dye.
It will set that dye in good. So if you're dyeing stuff out there, just pee on it.
Just pee on it.
Just pee on it.
Got to make sure you're drinking a lot of liquor.
I wonder
too.
if you do that, if you pee in your jeans, it keeps them from fading.
Or it fades it. It's ammonia.
Yeah, but it's supposed to set the dye.
Maybe I don't. It's
anyway,
interesting.
Let's move on.
Let's move on. Okay, so Angus comes in and he freaks out because he couldn't find her, and he gets mad because she was missing, but she was just with the women. But the women are saying that one of the children is hungry. It's because they had to give the goat for the rent. Claire is not this pushy in the books, but in the show, she gets mad. She tries to take the goat and say,
"Oh my goodness.
Hey, I'm giving the goat back. You can't take the goat." She doesn't really, like I said, that doesn't really happen in the books. She kind of oversteps her bounds. And, besides the fact that the child needs to eat or whatever, I feel like you're kind of stepping on the pride of these people who want to pay their rent, know that that's what they have to do to pay it.
They're living there
right
on the land, and they're just paying their way. It's not like, at first it kind of seems like it's a mafioso kind of thing because they're riding around and they're visiting all the little local places and they're taking money from them or whatever. The goat.
And
then Claire, she likes to poke that nose in places she doesn't need to be poking.
Well,
And-
yeah.
Especially, like it says in the series, there is a different kind of. She seems more like an activist type of person, very snotty and judgmental in the series.
It does.
Way more than the
It
book.
does. And the thing is this is still 200 years prior to when she would have lived. So no matter what, it's culture shock. You can't possibly go in there knowing what's going on.
And that's just me
understanding it.
mansplaining shit. Just saying. So if you take what I have to say and just ignore.
Well, I agree. I'm a woman. I agree.
Okay.
Just saying. I get it.
That's just my opinion, and that's what the whole show's about. It's our opinion.
Right, exactly.
Hope you enjoy it. It's supposed to
So
be entertaining.
in the show, she's kind of acting a little bit like a prisoner, and after the confrontation over the goat, she meets an English officer. He asks her if she needs help, but he's outnumbered. Colin kind of tells him to get back in his lane. That is not in the book. It's kind of the way that they're going to get her
It
moving
wasn't
forward.
Colin that said it. It was Duke.
Oh, I'm sorry. Dougal. Did I say Colin? Yeah.
He did say
I meant, yeah.
It
I
was
meant
Dougal.
Dougal.
And at first, you don't know he's an English officer in the show because
Right.
he looks
He's not
like
dressed
he's a
that way.
blacksmith.
Yeah.
And he comes out and he says it, and you can tell he's English by his accent, clearly.
Right.
And then he goes in and he puts his jacket on. acting
And then
like
now
he's all
you,
big and
right.
bad.
Now you know, you see the red coat. Now you know he's an English officer
Yeah.
or whatever. So he kind of goes off on his way because he knows he can't do anything about it anyway. He's
There's too
way
many of them.
outnumbered. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's just nothing. In the book, she actually witnesses one of Dougal's speeches in a local town. In the show, she comes to the conclusion that Dougal is just lining his own pockets with these speeches. So he does these speeches in these inns and caverns and stuff. It doesn't happen in the book. She never accuses him in the books of lining his own pockets, but he is using Jamie's scarred back in order to collect the money. It's that part of it's very similar. So he gets up. The speech is pretty much in Gaelic, so she doesn't necessarily know what he's saying. But at an impactful moment, he rips the shirt open and shows Jamie's back, and basically it's clear that that's from the English. So she's not necessarily going to be looked on kindly in any of these villages because she's English. It's a really good idea for her to keep her big fat mouth shut.
Okay.
Honestly,
This is like the fundraiser time.
right?
Boy.
Exactly. So see, he is getting this money, and she actually tells Ned in the show that she thinks he's stealing, and Ned plays it pretty coy in the show. He goes, "Oh, you're so smart. You figured us out. You got us figured out." He doesn't deny it. He doesn't contradict it. He just says, "Okay, you got me." So he's going to let her think what she wants. Her real issue is clearly with Dougal. Again, not in the book because I'm just trying to make the comparison. They come upon the Watch. So the Watch is sort of
They are the mafia.
they are the mafia kind of thing in the area, and they don't like English traders, but they'll cooperate with the English when it's convenient, and they like to collect money for protection from different villages and houses. Jamie doesn't want to be seen by the Watch because there's a price on his head, and it's all about money with them. He kind of disappears and hides a little bit. Then later on, she is still mad because she feels like they're stealing, and she's mad at Dougal, and she's just mad in the show, okay? And she insults Angus, who gets really angry with her. Jamie tells her to calm down. She says this would never happen when she was with her people. And he goes, "Well, you know what? You're not with your people." I mean, and truthfully, that's just the truth. She's not with her people. She's not in her time, and she needs to chill
She's
the frick
very
out.
bold for the situation she's in. I don't think she appreciates.
No.
You know, she thinks she has more protection by being an English woman. I think that's from the period she's from, but where she's at now, it's not that time. And people don't look upon women in the same way.
No.
And especially an English woman in Scotland.
Right. At this time,
Not good.
before the uprising,
Right.
they're not going to like you.
It's
They're not going to
very
like
much.
you.
So, yeah, the best thing is, help when you
quiet.
can and be quiet.
Right, exactly. Jamie's actually one of the people that can tell her this, and she kind of listens a little bit better. But
Does he tell her when his shirt's off?
I think his shirt was on at the time.
Oh.
Frank who?
Frank who?
Anyway. So
People are going to think Frank's an owl.
it's who? Frank who?
Frank
Frank
who?
who? It's like a nickname now. Frank
Frank
who? In one of the towns, she witnesses Dougal helping a man who was short on grain for the rent, and he actually gives him some grain and tells him he's not going to not eat. And she realizes, sort of sometimes, that Dougal's not without compassion, and he does try to take care of his renters. He's not just being a jerk to them.
But she still accuses it.
But she's still a snot. Yeah,
He's
she's still
accuses him.
snot.
And then he feeds they have like a big old feed. He's going to feed everybody.
He's
He
gonna
says,
make sure
he goes,
everybody
no one's
eats."
going hungry.
Right,
That's
exactly.
when she's like, "Oh yeah, but you're only doing that because of blah blah." blah.
Exactly. She's still a snot about it. I mean, it's just like, geez, you haven't gotten smarter yet. Anyway. Okay. So same story that night. They're in the cavern. This time she figures out, oh, they're raising money for the Jacobites. She's got it figured out. So she flashes back to a conversation when she was in Scotland before she went through the stones with Frank and the Reverend about the Jacobites and how they were raising money and for the Bonnie Prince Charlie Charlie or whatever, the Bonnie Prince Stewart, whatever the heck his name is. When she tells Ned that she's figured it out, he's surprised because she's not supposed to know the Gaelic, the way they say it. But she explains that she knows what long live the Stewart means. She also witnesses a confrontation between Jamie and Dougal, where Jamie's angry. This is very similar to the book. Jamie's angry that Dougal's using his back because that is not something that Jamie likes to give up to people about what happened to him and stuff like that. So she comes upon him hitting a tree. As we talked about in the last chapter that we did, it was her suggestion in the books that he hit the tree. They don't show that in the shows. He's supposed to work out his frustration this way. But she's starting to soften towards the men and realizing that they're not just criminals. They're leading their clans. They're not just like thugs, essentially. So in the show again, this is not in the book, they come across a couple of Scots that were essentially crucified and hung by the side of the road. And it's obvious to her, it's obvious to everybody there that this was done by the English, this was not done by the Scots, and this is not done by the Watch. And she also understands how much resentment probably builds in these men against the English. And then the next thing is, and it's similar to one of the books in the chapter, Jamie's actually, they are sleeping in an inn that night. Most of the time they've been sleeping outside just because of the nature of the travel. But this time they were sleeping in an inn, so she's hearing something outside of her room. She's kind of gets worried. She decides to go out and confront whoever's out there. She runs into Jamie and she steps on him because he's actually asleep outside her door. Again, see Jamie's protective instinct. He's protecting her. She didn't ask for it, but he's making sure because he feels like there's a lot of rowdy behavior going on and he doesn't want a bunch of men finding her and trying to take advantage. So he protects her. She offers to let him sleep in the room, and of course that's scandalous. He can't do that. But she gives him her blanket. That's very similar to how it kind of works out in the book.
Was that before or after the fight?
The fight's about to happen.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah. So they kind of move stuff around.
Spoiler for the spoilers.
Right, exactly. They move stuff around in the show versus the book, obviously, like we've been talking about. The next morning, they are eating in the tavern. Some people get in a fight, and she just gets up and kind of gets out of the way. Well, there's nothing she could do anyway. But Angus, in the show, Angus shoves this man's head into the table.
No, they got in a fight because the table, there was a table that was making comments about the English horde.
Yes.
And the other table with Dougal and Angus and all them kept looking at them, and they kept talking, and it's like they got up and went out
and said no more. Well, it's funny because obviously in the show at the first she doesn't realize why they're fighting. She just knows that they're fighting, and she's like, "Can't believe you guys. Why are you fighting like this?" And then finally they go, "We're fighting over you," and she goes, "Me?" And they go, "Yeah, they were insulting your honor." And he goes, "We can insult you. They're not allowed to insult you."
They're not allowed to. So they were fighting for her honor.
They were fighting for her, even though she's insulted them as well. So during this breakfast, though, she tells Ned kind of on the sly, quietly, she goes, "You can't win this fight. You're not going to win this fight." And Ned, basically, he's very zealous. He believes in it. He goes, "We're going to do it anyway."
And she tells him, she goes, "Well, I know for a fact you're not going to."
And
he's like, "How do you know?"
Right. And how do you know? And of course, she's not going to tell him how she knows, but he doesn't care. They're going to do it. So essentially. So after they fight for her, she starts to feel more friendly. She starts making jokes with them and stuff like that.
That's when the bonds are starting to build for them too, because, they don't know, they still don't know what she's about, but they're protected.
Right. And she heals them and stuff like that. So yeah, they're getting along better. You do see a flashback with Frank when they are at Culloden Moor, and he says that when the Jacobite rebellion happened, it was essentially the end of the clans and the end of the clan lifestyle, the Highlander lifestyle. Gaelic was outlawed, wearing tartans was outlawed. It was crazy. The next day, Dougal confronts her about causing trouble. While this is happening and he's confronting her, he's saying, basically he knows what her conversation with Ned was. And he's like, "Don't be causing trouble with my people." At the time, all of a sudden, a group of English soldiers shows up, and it's the man that had asked her if she needed help in the village that we didn't know at the time was a soldier. And he says, "I insist that you meet with my commander." It's different in how it happens. In the books, it was always the plan that Dougal was going to take her to meet the soldiers because he wants to find out what she's doing there. In the show, it kind of happens at a different route, but this is how she's going to get that.
Makes it more dramatic in the show.
Correct. That's how the episode ends, and pretty much from there, they're going to go meet. Well, we'll see what happens next time.
Oh, we know what's going to happen next time.
Right. Go to moonshinesafari.com. Check out some of our merchandise. You can also catch up on our past episodes. We would love it. Like, share, subscribe, all of that. And let us know if we're missing anything. I mean, I really try to be somewhat thorough, but I don't want to...
We're not going to hit everything because it's very detailed.
Right.
We're trying to give you a good overview. If you have some insights that you think might want to share,
we want to know. Yeah, do.
We might send you a sticker or something.
Exactly. All right. Thanks for joining. We will pick up with chapter 12 next time. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.